return to take you back to a time when insects were giant. It is about 3 or 9 million years ago during the late Carboniferous period in what is now Illinois. Much of North America and Europe was situated right over the equator at this time, which means they were both covered in warm, humid swamps like this, despite the Earth going through an ice age at this time. The oxygen levels are also much higher than today at 35% compared to today's 21%, which allows for many of the arthropods, like Arthropleura, to grow to lengths of around 8.5 feet in length. The Arthropleura likes to spend its time roaming about the forest floor, mostly feeding on dead plant matter, spores, and seeds. Flying above the giant horsetails or Goniatites is the giant mayfly-like insect with a 22-inch wingspan called Mazothairos. It has a needle-shaped structure to help it pierce through plants to drink their liquids. This inland sea to the west covers what is now the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. On the bottom, searching for clams or other types of mollusks to eat is the pedalodon cartilaginous fish with its axe-shaped fins called Janassa. Another fish living in these waters would include Orodus, which can grow to between 6.5 to 13 feet long, while another, just as bizarre fish with its jaws pointing away from each other in the front, that is also even larger at around 22 feet long or so, being Edestus. The Carboniferous is not only the age of giant insects, it is also the golden age of sharks. Now that the placoderms have been completely wiped out during the mass extinction event at the end of the Devonian, exactly 50 million years earlier, sharks, or rather cartilaginous fish as a whole, had been able to diversify into many different weird forms, and allow the likes of Edestus to fill the top predator role. The trilobites, even after the end of Devonian mass extinction event, still persist, but their numbers compared to the previous periods of the Paleozoic seem to be on the decline. Instead, their niches are slowly being filled by an ammonite that first appeared back in the Devonian some 80 million years earlier called Goniatites. Returning back onto land, the swamps are also inhabited by a tetrapod by the name of Carbonodraco. In the 65 million years since vertebrates followed plants and arthropods onto dry land, they have evolved tough, scaly skin to help keep themselves moist. This is an early, confirmed amnio, or reptile. In the rivers found within this swamp, it is inhabited by its own fair share of different bizarre aquatic life, just like out in the ocean, which includes this fish similar to modern spoonbill sharks called Bandringa. It is able to grow to a length of about 10 feet. The juveniles would usually be found further out in the sea nearby, while the adults prefer to lurk further inland amongst the streams or rivers. The amphibians inhabiting the rivers include Ovidurpiton, that at first looks similar to a small snake by seeming to not have any limbs. It is able to grow to a length of about 28 inches. It is assumed that it lives in burrows and feeds on a wide variety of different prey that includes snails, insects, worms, and millipedes. It is also inhabited by the Tullimonstrum, or Tullimonster. It is unknown what animal it is meant to be. related to worms or an annelid? Mollusk, related to either squid or slugs? Or maybe it may be a vertebrate itself. The Tullimonstrum can grow to between 3 to 14 inches in length. Returning back to the sea, the Edestus zooms in for a meal. Even other smaller fish like Janassa or juvenile Bandringa are on the menu for Edestus. On land, the swamp is hit by a fire, which happens much more frequently than in the modern day because of the higher oxygen levels. This being the last time the Earth was truly crawling.